Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me this late in the evening. I know many of you in the West Coast enjoy my later sessions because it's not really that late for you yet. I'm just going to make sure that we are live in Facebook land. I think we are. Hang on. Perfect. Okay. We don't appear to be going live. If you're joining me this evening, please say hello and let me know if you can see and hear me on your end. I'm hoping to have a pretty diverse discussion tonight. Cancer is a very big topic, and it is World Cancer Day. So thank you for spending your time with me. We're going to talk about not so much, what is the ideal setting for cancer or recovering from cancer or surviving cancer. It's not quite that simple. The bigger discussion is activity and what and when is appropriate for you personally. But I do support a lot of customers in my life that use vibration plates. It's their activity, it's their self-care. So sometimes when you go through any health condition, not necessarily just cancer, a vibration plate can be just as valuable a self-care tool as it is an exercise. So it's more about understanding where you personally are at in your journey and what is appropriate for you. I'm going to share this out. Right, group, and and then we're done. Okay. Now I'm seeing people. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Betsy. So nice to see you. Thank you for letting me know you can see and hear me. So, unfortunately, the C word is more common than it used to be, and I'm getting not more questions, but lots of diverse questions because cancer in itself has diversified in perhaps types, or maybe it's our education and understanding through research. So cancer can affect anyone at any time to a degree. If you're not living the most active lifestyle, or you are, things aren't always predictable. So if you find yourself in a recent diagnosis, or you are dealing with a treatment right now, or you are down the road, a lot of this isn't so much related to where you're at in this journey, but where you are at physically and what your level of conditioning was before you had the setback. So most of what I wanted to talk about today is tips. I certainly wouldn't expect, if any of you are dealing with cancer or just getting back on your plates post-cancer, to last through a whole session of my rambling. But I do want to talk about a few things that I work with to support those dealing with certain symptoms. So a vibration plate, when you're dealing with cancer, or you are dealing with recovery of cancer, I've never, ever met an oncologist or talked to a doctor that has said, no, you can't be active. There's no moving allowed. You need to be completely inactive. That's typically not the case. So if you are dealing with cancer right now, or you're going through treatment right now, you're still recommended to move and to be active within your own tolerance. So it really depends on where physically you are at, how things have been affected. Maybe you're in a post-surgery situation. But never in the history, in my 20 years of working with medical professionals for lots of different conditions, have they said no moving at all. What you need to do if you are dealing with a diagnosis right now, or you are in treatment right now, you need to have a discussion with your doctor about what activity may be appropriate for you. And more importantly, are there certain exercises, positions, types of activity that for you and your condition, you should be avoiding. So, I'll give you a very extreme example, but it's an uncommon example. let's say you got bone cancer and you've just gone through 6 to 8 weeks of treatment. Your bones, to a degree, have probably deteriorated in strength. So obviously you want to get moving. You want weight-bearing activity to help rebuild that bone density, but you want to be extra cautious in how vigorous the exercise, how impactful it is, how much strain you're putting on those bones. So there's probably some modifications to be discussed. Perhaps you're starting seated. And this is a common example that I discuss for a variety of different medical conditions. Sorry, I've been using the big Relaxa-Vibe here for the last couple weeks. And I keep going for the button on the wrong side of the machine. So maybe you're dealing with a situation where you're becoming active, but due to doctor's advice, you are maybe, partially weight bearing. Maybe you're dealing with fatigue, balance issues. I'm seeing, hi, Brandy. Hi, Cheryl. If you have lymphoma, Cheryl, I'm going to actually have a big ramble about lymphedema and lymphoma based on some personal recent experience. But I will get to questions after I go through my ramble, because I think you'll find it's probably going to answer a lot of the common sense or common questions. So if you're, whatever type of cancer you're dealing with, whether it's bone cancer, whether it's hormonal, whether it's brain, whether it's an organ, whether, there's symptoms after the fact, like lymphedema, you're dealing with lymphomas. There's kind of a stigma out there that if you use a vibration plate when you have cancer, that you're going to spread the cancer. I'm just being very frank, because I've had this conversation so many times. And you know what? I disagree. The vibration plate is not going to cause any more harm than walking around the kitchen and making a sandwich. It's understanding how to use the plate if you are at risk. So if you're dealing with stage 4, you're very weak, you still need to move. It doesn't hurt to get some lymph and some circulation going, but I wouldn't recommend, and I doubt that you'd be able to do vigorous exercise or do your regular workout. So if you're a regular vibration plate user and you're hoping to return where you left off, you're being very unrealistic. If you're a new user and you're looking at using a vibration plate, it's not uncommon when you have a health setback. I got to get more active. I got to start eating better. There's things that we mentally go through as a process, and becoming active, exercising is one of those things. So it's a matter of where your body is personally at overall in a physical condition. I'm not talking about what stage or what type. So just seated on the stool does a lot of fluid movement, the circulation, the lymphatic. But what I will find, and what I recommend, if you're dealing with chronic issues, which is my wheelhouse, everything I say to a degree will contradict the manual, because you need to modify if you're using a vibration plate for chronic issues. And the first modification that kind of lies in with the whole, not high impact stuff. This is a common, whether you're deconditioned or you're dealing with a current or a previous cancer diagnosis, you're generally starting in a low impact activity place. So wide in oscillating movement, this is one of the unique, takes a little bit more understanding, but once you understand it, you can navigate with your positions and have more control. You're in control over the intensity and how it feels. So depending on what you're doing, how you're feeling, you got good days, you got bad days. So you may need to adapt what you're doing even from day to day based on how you're feeling. I want to say one thing very closely to the camera. I'm just seeing some new comments here. You need to be realistic and think more self-care and less exercise. So when you're dealing with cancer, when you're recovering from cancer, or you've recovered from cancer, you're in a rebuilding and improving mode. And a vibration plate is simply a tool that helps you gain those exercise benefits. But and it's until you're in a situation that you don't really think about it as a self-care or recovery thing. So one of the things we need to do when we're dealing with illness of any kind is keep moving. We move because when we move, lymph moves. Circulation is kind of an automatic thing. It moves to a degree. It can certainly be improved by using a vibration plate. But the actual movement of lymphatic fluid through our system, our lymphatic system, it intertwines with absolutely everything we do. It's in every muscle. It's underneath the skin. There's targets. There's pathways throughout our body where there's bigger junction points of lymphatic vessels. So one of the things, and thank you for raising the lymphoma question, anything related to lymphatics. So tip number one, if you are planning on using a vibration plate, I want to get into a bit of a demo instead of just me talking. So we're assuming you've talked with your doctor. Your doctor's told you, yeah, I want you moving. I want you to be conservative, start slow, those kind of things. Means reduced time and reduced intensity. And there's two ways to reduce the intensity. I want those feet not wide. Wide is max movement. It's the jogging marker on many of your plates. So yes, you already know that. So bring the feet closer, more like hip width apart. If you're very sensitive, very frail, fearful, nauseous, there's all kinds of different things that may happen post-treatment or post when you're dealing with cancer, depending on whether you've had treatment, the type of treatment. And if you feel nauseous or fearful or any ill effects at all, reducing the amount of movement is the first correction, and speed it up a little bit. Instead of going slow, choppy, wobbly, destabilizing like you're rocking on a boat, I think you'll find the faster speeds smoother. They're going to be more soothing. And if you're afraid to turn it up, bring your feet dead center, right in the middle. This model, because it's a Rumblex, has 60 speeds. I'm bringing mine up to like the 20 range, 20, 25. And what you'll notice with your feet closer versus when you're wide, just hanging on for dear life, is as you get going faster in your speed or you use a higher level program, it is smoother. You've got less time for the body to correct and guard and do all the things that it does. Faster movement requires the muscles, the tendons, the lymphatic vessels, everything responds fast at a faster rate because the movement has been minimized. So you don't want lots of movement, lots of impact. Think that way. But you do want to keep your time short. So by complementing it with a faster speed, for those of you that have watched some of my sessions, I always talk about these 2 to 3 minute spot treatments. Well, this is a perfect example. You're recovering, you're gaining strength and energy and trying to build all these things back. 2 to 3 minutes, self-care, symptom management, just seated for the first couple, 3 weeks, perhaps, if you're dealing with a diagnosis. This could be just a simple thing to simply get the lymphatics moving. If you want a more total body experience, I've done this in a number of my videos. Maybe you don't want to stand yet. Maybe you're not able to bear weight or shouldn't be quite yet. Take your hands, lock those elbows, and lean in and kind of, rest on the back side, the top side of that kneecap, and you'll feel a little bit of movement. As the hand becomes connected with the movement of the lower leg, the resonance travels, and we now have involuntary, very lazy movement into the arms and the torso to a degree. If that feels okay and you want a little bit more intensity, and again, it's always based on you. Notice how my feet are still close together. When we get the upper body, especially as ladies, that neck and shoulder region close to the shake, we have a tendency that the body, and I learned this in some block therapy stuff I was learning yesterday. The body has this fight or flight response, especially ladies, where we go, that's what happens when we stress out and we tense up all these muscles in the neck and the shoulder. Same thing happens when a vibration plate, the stimulus is felt in these areas. So now that you know this and mentally you're ready for it, keep those feet really close, lean over, put the elbows in, and it's not so scary, right? If you want it to be more intense or you've got better tolerance and want to pick things up a bit, don't play with the speed. Keep it at that 20, 25 range. If you're dealing on a waiver, a mini, one of the compacts that have 100 or more speeds, go halfway up to 40, 50 in those ranges. Try by a half an inch or an inch wider with the feet, and you'll feel the control that you have over the intensity. So maybe when I'm sitting, it feels okay on the legs, and the wider feet is comfortable. But once we add the upper body, maybe the tolerance or the deficiencies are in different areas. So whether you're applying lower body or above the waist, the one lesson in oscillating, and it's one of the big advantages of oscillating, is you're always in control with that hand or foot placement over how it feels at the time. And again, I want to stress, we're thinking self-care, not marathon workout stuff. You'll get there, but let the healing take place first. So other things that we can do is breathing. Breathing is a great way to incorporate not only exercise benefits to a degree, but just to expedite recovery, improve oxygenation to the blood, get that lymphatic moving, all kinds of things. So, maybe it's something as simple as let's make a little fist and situate it just above the belly button, but below the rib cage, if that makes sense. And we're not going to press. You can put your hand flat if that feels more comfortable. I feel like I got to make a fist. That's just me. We're going to make sure that tailbone is tilted slightly backwards. Posture's there. And we're going to inhale and exhale out through the nose. Kelly taught me this in blockchain therapy training yesterday. So we're going to inhale and slowly exhale. As you exhale, apply pressure, resist a bit, but don't push on the abdomen. I want you to feel the air here, not building it up in the chest and just inflating at the lungs. This is a very important pathway. I'll get back to the lymphomas specifically, but anyone dealing with lymphedema, if you've had treatment of some kind, you're probably dealing with some version of lymphedema or it's developing. And because you spend more time sitting and you're generally hunched over, this is there's 6 pathways, some say 9. It depends on what therapist you see. But this is not, the pathways are junction points where, things get blocked and gunk gets stuck in the trunk. As a vibration plate boosts lymphatic movement, I want you to keep your time 2 to 3 minutes because it's boosting it to begin with. But more importantly, the body itself is not processing and moving the lymphatic. The detox isn't effective. The body's not functioning as it should be. And you're going to blast a surge of circulation and lymphatic fluid into your system. You want to make sure the body is prepared to handle the increase in the flow. And this is just one of those big areas where I find, for those of you that are dealing with the big arm or the neck or anything above the torso, this is very commonly, and the groin. These are areas that we didn't know about self-massage, or nobody told us to. So just by putting your hand very gently here, but resisting, inhaling through the nose, exhaling. And I want you to feel that. I'm going to show you because it's hard to do the breathing proper and talk. So you're inhaling through the nose and out through the nose, and you'll see my hand move. So inhale, exhale. Oh, through the mouth. Versus just in the chest. You'll feel it right in that group of muscles, just under the rib cage. Okay? Missed my chair. I lost a friend the 3rd of January to hormonal cancer that unfortunately, by the time she got diagnosed, was not treatable. And she dealt with a lot of congestion on her right side, the arm, the neck, some surgery. So there was all kinds of compromised lymphatic issues on this side. And one of the things I taught her in the latter stages, because unfortunately she didn't have an appointment with the clinic for like 2 years, is there's a lot that you can do through, simple self-massage, manual lymphatic drainage. Look these things up. There's compression sleeves and even just compression bandage. Get a little compression on those areas to help not only support them, but to help with that fluid getting dissipated and moving. And one of the key areas I worked on with my friend, I did for a period of time have a vibration plate that she was using, but it wasn't realistic in a hospital setting. But she was in a recliner, and what I would do is I bought this vibrating pillow at Walmart, and I'd put it under her feet or her knees just to give the vibration, and it was quite comforting to her. And I just placed my hand and we did these breathing exercises. And guys, I kid you not, speaking only from personal experience, within 3 nights of just positioning her arm and moving some lymphatic fluid, we went from a 4-inch compression bandage, which is just an elasticy, looks like a tensor bandage, down to a 2-inch. That's how much fluid dissipated. It was all getting stuck. And what we noticed on the first couple of days is it was overflowing from here and going to this side. So, laying her back, getting the compressions on and giving that manual drainage did wonders. The vibration just makes your time more effective. It soothes you on a different level. We know it primes the central nervous system, also for healing, not just exercise. If you are at a stage where you're working on weight-bearing exercises, you want to progress to more strength, be very precautious, not just using a vibration plate, but if you're dealing particularly with something that's affected the bones and the muscles and they've deteriorated to a degree, you want to ultra be sure that you're not doing high impact or strenuous activities. A lot of times, you're not dealing with the same body. And, you try to return to the velocity or what you were doing before. And I would hate to have even just a strain or a sprain could set you back. So be conservative and have that conversation with your doctor, your oncologist, your physical therapist, whoever is helping you with the physical activity, the post or during care stuff. And, many of them do not understand what a vibration plate is. Sometimes it's easier understood, it's an electric rebounder. Rebounding is a great activity for lymph. I know many of you use it, but sometimes a vibration plate is more tolerable. The amount of movement is less, and you can get much more accomplished in less time. So it's going to give you the energy. It's going to help you build the strength and the bone density. The way that it does those longer term benefits is all these 2 to 3 minutes, here and there as you need an energy boost, as your back is killing you, to break up the sitting because you've been sitting for too long. There's lots of different reasons to use a vibration plate for a spot treatment. Yes, I did just spill my coffee on the floor. But as you're on it for that minute or two, it just kind of feels like a ripoff. I know many of you, especially returning users that, maybe you've gone through a cancer situation and you're now getting back to your activity. It's only 10 minutes, Debbie. What's the big deal? Sometimes we underscore not our ability and understanding of how to use the machine, but the body we're returning with. So remember, you've been through a traumatic experience, whether you've gone through treatment or not, surgery, and it's more effective to, again, think self-care, less sweat for the first couple of weeks, and have, you're going to be having regular checkups with your doctor or your therapist. I think you'll find in the long run, it's going to be more effective as a self-care tool and less taxing on your time. And when you're ready for the exercise, you'll kind of know, but still be conservative. It does take time for the bones and the muscles to recover. And it's not just an activity thing, guys. Make sure you're staying hydrated. You're giving your body, nutrient dense foods to help, sometimes, some of the treatments deplete the body of some of, you can't get rid of some of the bad stuff and have not some of the good go with it. So you want to make sure you're supporting the rebuilding process as you get back to this. And if you are doing other activities, other therapies, again, look at the synergistic effects, so if you went and, you've decided today you're getting back to it and you went for a walk with the dog and then you went to the pool, and you're going to come do your vibration plate, be careful not to return to too many things at once. Be modest and conservative in whatever you return to. If you do have sports or other activities that you do enjoy, maybe using your plate more as a pre-other thing or a post-recovery thing as opposed to a workout or longer duration. So again, the spot treatments to complement other things, short sessions more frequently is the perfect recipe. There is no perfect setting for any benefit. That's all very misleading. It's understanding what's comfortable for you in the moment, in the position that you're doing. So usually wider foot positions, higher intensities, that tends to, lead to a more conditioned or comfortably exercised body on the plate. If you're just getting back to it again, I just want to stress you'll get there. Be patient and just give the body time to restore and build a good foundation versus jumping back in too quickly. I'm going to start coming to questions because I know there's going to be a many. I had a couple more notes here, and I'm certainly sitting way too tall on my chair. So let me get lower and a little closer. I want to make sure I covered a couple of points. So yes, if you're dealing with a bone type cancer, osteoporosis, osteopenia, those type of conditions as well, you're often told to avoid high impact exercises anyways, heavy weights, lots of lifting that put excessive strain on the bones to prevent fractures. A vibration plate is effectively a body weight exercises. It utilizes, gravity in your own body's mass. So, until your physical therapist or your doctor has advised it's okay to add mass, lifting weights or putting a vest back on, same kind of parameters on the vibration plate. Again, it's just a tool. So the parameters of activity are the larger discussion to be having with your doc. If you're having, if you're dealing with a type of cancer where, related to like low blood count stuff, you want to, typically that's something you're dealing with post-cancer, post-treatment. You want to avoid large public areas sometimes. So I see a lot of my clients maybe doing more than they had because you're doing it at home on that self-care. Again, be ultra cautious. Vibration plates are an awesome resistance type exercise, which is something you've probably been, if you're having those discussions with your doctor, resistance training, if platelets are low is generally more recommended because you're at a risk of hemorrhaging, bleeding to a degree. Same with a vibration plate. It's going to be more effective in kind than physically lifting weights. But if you're in a situation where you're kind of avoiding those public places because of that reason, just be more conservative. Use it in shorter, more frequent sessions than a big old workout because you're stuck at home. Don't have that kind of mentality. Specific to any of the lymphedema stuff. Lymphedema is a symptom just as much as it is a condition to a degree. There's a lot of mentality out there, start slow. You tend to also be dealing with things like hypermobility and other conditions. So if you're dealing with lymphatic issues, I went off on that a little bit because generally that is something you're dealing with in a post-cancer situation, certainly post-treatment. So you just want to make sure that the biggest advantage a vibration plate offers over any other tool out there is that it can be the self-care and the exercise. And why that's so critical for lymphedema is you need to get that lymph moving. And if you're dealing with a 50-pound arm and a 20-pound leg or two of them or three of them, traditional activities, the pain that some of you experience, traditional activity just is not an option, but you got to move. So, you can build the strength, keep the bone density improving while you're getting the added bonus of the lymphatics being boosted. So that's why a vibration plate is probably just the king tool for dealing with anything lymphatic. It's understanding more. Again, I could line up 20 of my clients that are dealing with lymphedema, and they're all very unique in where it's affecting the body, their prior conditioning, their environmental factors. There's all, the treatment. So it's still very much an individual thing. What you are able to do on the plate is more an individual thing. Know that there's some passive, let's call them side benefits instead of side effects. So just by doing the things, the moves, the exercises you're supposed to be doing on the plate, you get the added bonus of extra lymph circulation, balance, energy, different things because you're doing them in an environment that brings more to the equation. Wearing a compression garment is something on a side note I kind of just want to add. For those of you that are just starting out on a vibration plate, if you wear medical grade compressions right now or are supposed to be, you know what I mean. I know it's like wrestling in jello trying to get these things on and off. For some of you, I empathize tremendously. It's a sport just putting on some of these medical grade compressions. So as much as in a perfect world, a vibration plate is improving lymph. And when you're starting out, just like orthotics or anything else, you should start as you are and progress based on your comfort and own feedback that your body's given you. So what I find after 20 years, and I have a very large support group specific to lymphedema and lipedema and those type of conditions specific to vibration plates, is very often it boils down to a how you are at the time thing. If you listen to me and you're going and using it 2 and 3 and 4 times a day, you're not going to be putting these compressions back on and off. Okay. So if you need a fix, 2 or 3 minutes, go as you are. But I do recommend experimenting when you've got time to. So if you've got the compressions off and it's later in the evening and you know you're going to bed anyways, that would be a good time to maybe experiment using without the compressions and just do a comparison. But for the first week or two, get that baseline going, go as you are. And 9 times out of 10, especially for lymphedema, if your doctor has advised you to wear compression, most of them have, they also recommend that you ensure you wear them during activity. So sometimes that just includes walking. So whatever the parameters are on those compressions, if your doctor wants you wearing them during activity, you should experiment first, learn how it feels both ways, and then listen to the feedback on your body. What other things do I want to cover? Ostomy. Yeah, let's talk about that. So I'm just looking at my own little chicken scratch notes here. You definitely should be avoiding exercises that are, offer a lot of or add a lot of abdominal pressure, like even that breathing exercise I did. So this isn't so much a thing on its own, but it's a really good example of modifying. So if you've gone through something where, your PT, your trainer, whoever you're working with, your doctor has said, I want you to avoid these kind of things, it's for a reason. You've got a deficiency in an area where you don't want to put strain necessarily. Other parts of the body might be okay. And I've shown in past sessions, there's lots of ways you can use a vibration plate. If you've got an issue with one body part or one limb, you can get creative. But when you're dealing with something like this, if you're standing on the plate, and sometimes even when you're seated, you do feel a little bit of movement in this area. So that's where understanding bringing those feet closer to the center to reduce the amount of movement and impact is really, really key. I'm not saying that you got to build up the core back at some point. But there are ways to just tailor the positions, how long you're using it for not only your own comfort, but the position, the area that the cancer may have affected. Maybe there's surgery areas, those type of things. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to turn to questions. It's 13. What am I? No, it's 10 after 7, I'll say. And if you are joining me in my world, it's 10 after 9 for some of you. So I'm being conscious of your bedtime. If you are joining me and you have questions for me specifically, make sure that you're over on the main Lifepro page, not the VIP or any of the other groups I may have shared it in privately. The only comments I see coming through on my end are from the VIP group. So again, just a recap. I will not answer a question about what setting is best, or, some of the common sense stuff has been answered at nausea. I recommend using the search function, and it's not a diet pill. It's not a prescription where I can say, do this many times for this long. It's very much an individual thing. And if you're in a post-cancer situation, I think you investing 5 to 10 minutes to understand some basics will go a very long way in a positive way. I'm going to drop some videos after I wrap up the live, my basic crash course. How do I use, why, both in seated and standing starts, what you need to adhere to if you are dealing with cancer, your post-treatment of cancer, or you've recovered from cancer, you're dealing with a body that has been deconditioned or has had trauma in some way. All the plate is a tool that makes exercise, activity, those type of things kinder on the body. It's an easier tool to get those type of benefits, but it is by far in light of today's conversation, it's so much more critical as a self-care tool. Start moving and feeling better. Get the systems of the body improving. Get the lymph moving properly. Get the detox going before you hang yourself up about, oh, I got to do my squats and I got to do my push-ups. You'll get there. But you're not going to do yourself any favors if you take on more than you're ready for. You're dealing with a different body. This is not a negative thing. There's lots that can be done. So don't be so hard on yourself if you have been. Cheryl says, should you avoid vibration plate if you have a lymphoma? I want to answer that. Not necessarily. It's not should you use a vibration plate or how you use a vibration plate. It's a matter of whether being active is appropriate. Now, depending on the lymphoma, I know many, many women that have massaged with massage guns and beaten the snot out of these things and broken them apart. I'm not recommending anyone do that again. I'm just sharing my vast experience. I think if it is just a lymphoma, like a hard lump of fat versus, like an angiopoma, something that has roots, it really depends on what it is. So you want to be very certain that's exactly what it is before you make any of these decisions. If it is like super painful to touch, it's not going to harm or make it worse. But if you have been advised extreme things like, you really got to be careful about how much circulation, like if this is a living thing that's growing, the only precaution using a vibration plate when you have cancer is, yes, it does increase circulation. It oxygenates cells. But so does activity. So again, it's a less is more equation. And what I find with lymphomas is initially, if they're sensitive, it might be a period of time thing where you just got to get tolerance built, and you will develop that over time. I wouldn't necessarily, depending on where it's located, that comes into play too. But commonly I see them with my lymphedema and my Derkham's folks. Derkham's disease is the condition where these things are like mapped in the hundreds all over your body. It's just the condition. And sadly, sometimes when they're surgically removed, they grow back. Sometimes the same, sometimes worse. So, if there's a way that you can alleviate these things non-surgically, a massage gun is a very good tool for that. Depends on you and your tolerance. Absolutely a discussion to have with your doctor. But there are groups out having these conversations quite openly. There's a lot of anecdotal and come on, guys. Some of this vibration plates and massage guns have been out for years now. This isn't some new thing. As far as improving the body's overall health and the circulation and the lymphatic, overall, that's going to, of course, help with that. But specifically as a treatment thing on itself, I'd want to understand a little bit more, and you need to be realistic and ensure that you know exactly what you're dealing with. Not saying I haven't, had people use the vibration plate specifically, with rollers, but I would want to know what I'm dealing with before I offer any advice. I'm not in a position to offer advice, but I will always be honest with you guys and share my experience, because why I'm around for so long is a lot of times doctors don't understand. You make your own decision because you can. And, especially if you've been using one before, you miss it and you want to get back to it. So you do your own thing. And really all you're looking for is forgiveness, not permission. So the guidance and support will always be here because I'm here to support your decision. And if your doctors need any information, I can certainly send some their way. Who else is with me today? So Betsy, we already said hello. Nice to see you. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for joining. Cheryl, as I said, thank you for raising that question. Sorry for the long answer. But yeah, you're in experienced hands, and I've seen too many miracles not to share, but you really want to be making sure you know what you're dealing with. Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you. For those of you that might be watching this on a recorded basis, feel free to ask me questions. Maybe you've got something specific that you're not too comfortable asking about on camera. You guys can always tag me at Debby with a Y. I am back on Facebook as far as being able to comment. I wasn't able to comment for 7 days because I had a high volume of comments. Go figure. So my apologies for that. Usually it's like political views and things I thought that got you in trouble there. But yeah, the reason was stated that I had high volume of comments and interaction. Well, sometimes the topic gets going and I'm happy to feed you those answers. So I apologize for being a little bit quiet over the last week, but I will invite you again to tag me at Debby with a Y if you have something specific related to today's topic. Again, give me about an hour. I'm going to get the kids fed, and I'm going to drop some information links for those of you that are just getting started and may want, something to follow. Much shorter than the explanation I had today. I've got a short 6-minute crash course on Lifepro's pages. And again, oscillating is the primary movement. I don't care what others are saying online. Oscillation is vibration. There's a lot of word salad out there right now, and there's different types of vibration plate movement. But I'm speaking from a place of being certified on all sides of the fence. I've been at this 20 years with medical grade devices, and I speak from a place of experience. And as a trainer, oscillating is where it's all at. It's more functional. There's more people that tolerate it, how it feels. There's more things you can do to adapt and just further customize your experience. The good news is they're also by far more affordable and accessible. All of Lifepro's models, with the exceptions of a couple of the voice activated models, they're more like an electric rebounder. I wouldn't actually even classify them as a vertical. They're a very low frequency vertical. But for today's topic, when we're dealing with things like cancer recovery, post-surgery, the balance, the lymphatics, that chugging, churning, walking motion that oscillating provides is by far an advantage, not just on the self-care piece, but as you return to that vigorous, strong person that we will get you back to being. And Lifepro is not medical grade. Barbara, medical grade is like 5 figures, honey. I've got a couple in my basement, and I need 2 people to move them at times. Medical grade is a different load on the central nervous system. You're dealing with different frequencies, and I do not discuss or recommend anything that refers to itself as medical grade without proper qualified guidance. There's a different stimulation on the central nervous system, and you want to absolutely make sure you're dealing with someone qualified, like myself or some of the doctors that I support in the medical world doing that kind of research. A lot of my pediatric group is medical based, but I tell you, most of my kids are still using Lifepros and home machines because, when you're dealing with special needs and wheelchairs and extra costs, medical grade doesn't necessarily mean more benefit. It certainly means more cost and more understanding. Medical grade is commercial grade, so it's built to take the high volume traffic that a gym or something may present upon it. The ones that have higher frequencies, some of the research I feel over the years has been slated in its favor. They're only studying what their machines are capable of. And I'm coming from a place of, forget Lifepro and my own personal groups. I exceed 35,000 people, and you observe things. Science isn't always something that's on PubMed. When I have people using Lifepro machines for 5 years, 10 years in some cases, and they're laying testament to these changes happening in their body with these machines also, you can't ignore that. So all the bone density, anything you've ever heard about a vibration plate is absolutely true. It's understanding how to apply the tool to your own individual situation to accomplish those benefits. So enough rambling. Thank you for joining me. Again, tag me at Debby with a Y. There are still some New Year's deals going on Lifepro's site. There was a launch last week, a new red light. I've got it right here. Should I show you? The new red light, the VibraRed it's called. So you can still modify foot position. This is a good, what I would refer to as a seated model. So if you've really digressed and you're dealing, with sitting for a period of time in your future as your recovery has dictated, that's going to give you the combination of treating the feet with red light, or you can use the vibration plate on its own. You can use them independently or combine the two. So that is an exclusive on Lifepro's site if you want to check that out. That's called the VibraRed. Something new maybe coming a couple weeks down the road. I haven't got confirmation on yet, but you will be the first to know when I do. And thank you for joining me tonight. Whatever vibration plate you have, if you are dealing with a cancer situation, whatever that looks like, whether you're supporting a friend, Being active is generally something that's advised, and a vibration plate just makes that activity kinder, more tolerable. And for many of you, it's actually very soothing and comforting. And when you've gone through a journey as you have, you're indecisive. There's all these things that, you've had a reality check, a mortality check, I call it. And there's really no reason other than opinion that has ever gotten in the way of someone using a vibration plate. I, in 20 years, have never seen any hard reasons that a vibration plate should pose harm, other than maybe you take it on more than you're ready for on the exercise piece. So that's just a general precaution I extend to you, regardless of whether you're using a vibration plate. Give your body the time to heal. A vibration plate just expedites that and cuts the work back a little bit. So reach out if you have questions. Again, I'm going to drop some information in here after the live, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday. Please join me on Saturday. It's my once a month vibration plate crash course. So whether you're just starting, whether you're restarting, we're kind of getting into that time of year with the new year. It's February already, so the whole New Year's craziness, the pressure's off, or whether you are just looking for some change, some like-minded folks. Join me on Saturday. It's a little bit earlier on Saturday. It'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I usually do it a little bit later because I know many of you are working. Barbara, that one will be at 7:30. If you go into the events under Lifepro's main page, you'll see that I've already got that one set up, and I'll send out invites here. I do send out invites, but Facebook limits me to 300 people, so I cannot invite everyone in the group. So if you want to stay up on what's happening, events on the main Lifepro page will show you what's coming up as far as publicly accessible lives. And that's where you're catching me today. So check that out, Barbie. If you have any issues, let me know. Have a great rest of your evening, guys. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday night, same basement, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Don't work too hard. And I wish you good vibes in your healing journey. If you are dealing with cancer, if you're supporting someone with cancer, the help is out there, and getting moving is something that really, like I say, I'm nagging it. I know we've all been advised to keep active. No one has been advised to just stop moving. It's to what degree that I really want you guys to just think logically about, and don't be afraid to have those conversations with your doctor. I'm here to back you up if you need more science. Have a great rest of the night.